I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of Australia and their connections to land, sea, sky, and community. I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and I extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening today. Hello, my love, and welcome to the April and Fritz podcast. I am so happy that you're here, and if you are new here, a very warm welcome from me. My name is Brie, and I am the owner and head designer at April and Fritz, a floral design studio based in Melbourne. Today, I had the incredible privilege of talking with the lovely Anna of Anna Campbell Bridal. This conversation was pretty significant for a couple of reasons. One being that, Anna is a renowned Australian designer, really celebrated for creating super unique, handcrafted, stunning bridal gowns. And I really love that her style is kind of a fusion of like new age romance meets dreamy elegance. And she is also the very first guest on the April and Fritz podcast. And so I am so excited to have somebody like Anna on to share about her experience as a designer and how she works with her clients to actually create unforgettable moments as well. And in our conversation today, we do talk, of course, about bridal gowns, but we also talk about so much more than that. It's really about, for example, her inspiration from nature, working with vendors that you love, and really, working with your floral designer to create the perfect kind of bridal bouquet to match your gown, and just so much more. So I know that you're going to love it. And thank you again to Anna for coming on the show, and let's get started. A big welcome to Anna from Anna Campbell Bridal. I am particularly excited because you are actually the first official guest on the podcast. So it's a pretty significant moment for the podcast and the community and myself as well. So thank you so much for being here, just to set the scene. It's incredible, and I can't wait to have a chat with you.
You are absolutely welcome. I'm very excited to be here.
Amazing. All right. So just to kind of get us started, maybe could you share a little bit more about yourself, who you are, what you do, and how Anna Campbell Bridal came to be?
So my name is Anna. I am the founder and creative director of Anna Campbell Bridal. I started when I was 19 years old, and I have just turned 37. So Anna Campbell has been a part of my life and my husband's life now for almost like our whole existence together. It started as I dropped out of uni and I started making headpieces for a little store, which turned into dresses, and it really evolved very organically from there. I didn't start off wanting to be a bridal designer. It just happened, I guess. And I love it. I love my job. I feel so incredibly lucky to do a job that I absolutely adore.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And so you were 19, so any formal training or anything like that, or it just happened that you were just really, really good at this?
No formal training. So I was studying fashion, and I was doing a shocking job at it. It was definitely not the class favourite. It was quite the opposite. So I didn't last past the first semester at uni.
Yeah, right. And obviously you've got a talent for it, right? And you'd obviously had that interest. So was it just kind of, when you kind of started making these headpieces, it just felt like a bit of a natural progression, really, moving on to the next bigger thing and the next bigger thing? Or
I think so. I think it's to run a business, and I'm sure you get this as well, it is equal parts talent, equal parts grit. And then as you evolve, just that determination, that work ethic, and then as you get bigger, hiring around you. And I have the most incredible team, and I have always had an amazing team. Even across the years with different people coming and going, we've always had a lot of talent. And I think for me, it's been understanding where I am very strong and where I have gaps to fill, and hiring accordingly.
yeah, that's amazing. You're definitely right. I mean, absolutely, like the talent is definitely one side of it, but the grit is something else. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
Having your own business is no joke.
And just the passion and excitement to, like stay up until late every night and writing ideas and notes and constantly being inspired. And just it really is your hobby. It has to be your hobby as well. And I had my business a long time before I had financial commitments or children. And I'm so glad that I did, because I've sacrificed everything for this business.
Of
And I
course.
think that in the last kind of, my eldest is about to turn 7. So I've got 3 boys now. And so in the last 7 years, I've had a bit of more of a dual focus,
Mm,
and I haven't been able to put in the hours that I did when I was building the brand. And I'm so glad that it did play out like this, because
yeah.
I sacrificed so much and I put so much in those early years. And I'm so glad that I did now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore, honestly. I'm probably in a bit of a similar situation where, kind of have started out with none of those other kind of commitments, which I'm so grateful for because
Mm.
I can just invest every moment, even just energy into my business, which I
It's
really, really
energy.
love.
Energy's the biggest one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Exactly.
it's doing the Monday to Friday insane
Yeah.
hours, and then turning around and still thinking about it on Sunday, and going in and all of those things. It's the energy to answer, to do every job and answer every question, and be the bridal consultant and the person dispatching the dresses and the person QCing and making them at one point, and doing the whole thing yourself,
Yeah.
and marketing.
And marketing and sales and finance and everything
Yeah.
else, all
And now
that.
I have a team that back me up, and
Yeah.
they're experts in all of their fields, and they do the
Yeah.
most incredible job.
Yeah, and look, I can definitely vouch for that. I've been, lucky enough to deal with some people in your team, and they're absolutely beautiful and absolutely fantastic at what they do. And I don't say that lightly, like just from even the moment you walk in the door, like they're so beautiful and welcoming and kind, and but they equally just like know their stuff, and they're more than happy to like point you in the right direction. And I just think
Yes.
that's
Oh, good.
exactly
Yeah,
what
my team are the best.
you want. Well, let's chat a little bit about your kind of design style and how it kind of came to be as well, because obviously it would have changed a lot, throughout the years, but it
Mm,
sounds like one thing that kind of has been consistent is kind of the uniqueness of your
yeah.
designs and kind of the attention to detail. And
Mm.
so can you maybe elaborate a little bit on like what inspires your collections and kind of some of the elements that make your designs as special as what they are?
Thank you. I feel that we are deeply connected to our bride,
Mm,
and our bride has always evolved the designs with us
yeah.
from working with her. So there's the first point of inspiration. The second inspiration is our fabrications,
Mm,
which are they are just extraordinary. Some designers work really on shape in plain fabrics. That's kind of the opposite to what we do. We
okay.
have the most beautifully patterned but simplistic of shapes, often adorned with this most incredible of fabrics.
Yeah.
So hand embellishment. So every bead is literally sewn by hand, one bead after another bead, and the whole gown is shimmering and sparkling. And we're designing these pieces across a series of months and months to design them.
Mm, mm,
There's laces that we work really closely with our lace suppliers, and there's a huge amount of custom design in our laces. There's a lot of hand embellishment, and then we've got things like silks and trims, but it's the laces and the embellishments that I think a little bit of thinking outside of the box. And the idea is that you put on an Anna Campbell dress and you just feel incredible.
yeah.
We do have some pieces that are more understated,
Yeah.
but the majority of our pieces, it still is understated, because there's nothing tizzy
Mm,
about our
mm.
designs, but you just feel like the level of detail and adornment, you can't help but feeling like a modern princess.
Oh, I love that so much. And like you're so right. Like I said, I've been lucky enough to come into the store and kind of see everything that you've kind of created. And like even just from the moment that you kind of walk in, like you feel elevated. Is something about
Mm.
even just walking in the room. And I don't know if it's like every single little piece that but it's like everything just sort of comes together and accumulates into this really beautiful experience. And I think, yeah, that's something that just can't really be replicated so easily, like you said, every
And
single
it's
beat is
luxury.
so done. Yeah, yeah,
And that's why I love bridal, because we are able to work in a luxury.
yeah,
And it's just the fabrics and the choices aren't something that we could possibly produce within a fashion brand
yeah,
at a price point that was sustainable. So
yeah.
it's so amazing to be able to spend hours and hours designing one gown. That is such a
Mm.
luxury.
Oh, absolutely. And let's talk about that a little bit because I am curious. Obviously, I'm a floral designer. So, I always happen to catch all the little
Mm.
things to do with nature. And I have kind of noticed a lot of your designs do have those kind of elements of nature, whether it be
Mm.
like floral adornments, like you said,
Mm.
or, inspired by certain things. Can you maybe talk us through a little bit about that? Has there been a really strong influence from nature on your
Always.
designs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
always. Always.
Great.
I grew up in the country
Ah,
and
perfect.
I spent a few years, probably like the first decade or so, maybe a bit more, living in Melbourne in a kind of city. And then 6 years ago, we bought a property. I'm out on just the city side of the Yarra Valley now.
Beautiful.
And we have acreage here and I have my horses here. And it is just what makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So nature and floral and movement and just a feeling of being in a soft organic space is such a big part of our
Mm,
design. I always find myself drawn to anything that showcases flowers, petals, leaves, even the lines
yeah.
on our, like, we've got a new collection coming out. It's called Bloom because
Oh,
everything in the collection
should I
is
just
so,
buy? Oh, yeah.
so floral. So it's a great time to do this podcast, but
Yeah.
it's so floral inspired. There's a dress called Dahlia, which is just, I know there would be thousands of these huge fluffy flowers all over this
Mm,
gown. There is wisteria, which runs down you like vines with these tiny soft 3D petals. There's a topper called Ginger that is like this cute little V-neck swing topper covered in embellished 3D beading, like sparkling flowers. But it's always been a part of my design ethos.
yeah.
This collection in particular is very heavy on it.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds absolutely beautiful. And I think even just like hearing you speak about it, right? Like the excitement in your voice and like talking about where you live and what you love, like to me as a designer, like there's no better inspiration than that. If it's something that you love and that you're passionate about and that you get energy from, then it translates through to your design no matter what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I can't wait to see. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
thank you.
Absolutely. And so, just kind of on that topic of like designing and trends and that kind of thing, I think it's obvious that bridal is really influenced by fashion.
Mm,
And, I would argue that floral design is too, right? Because
mm.
what we had in the 80s is maybe not what we have now and so on and so forth. But
Probably
I'm
what you had in the
curious.
90s is what you have now.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So I am curious, like, how do you stay attuned to current trends, but also kind of create your collections in your way with your style?
So this is the question that I think a lot of designers, including myself, have battled with over the years.
Yeah.
Um, it is really, really hard. And so the best way that I can put it now is that we have an understanding of trend
Mm,
and we can pick and choose elements of that. So uh, over the last few years, a square neck has really been a major kind of trend focus in bridal. And so we take the square neck silhouette and then we create it very, very Anna Campbell and very on brand with sparkling embellishments.
yeah.
So I think it's about having an understanding of trend
Mm,
and then being able to apply it with a really strong handwriting of your own brand.
yeah.
I think though that the goal for us isn't to follow a trend, it is to set the trend.
Love
And
that.
so you're not always going to do that. So within our collection, there will be certainly pieces that do respond to trend.
Yeah.
In a subtle way, there will always be pieces that have absolutely nothing to do with trend and they're completely custom Anna Campbell pieces that only we could have possibly thought of.
Yeah.
So, and those pieces are really hit and miss. Sometimes they are absolutely the piece that we then keep working with for years and years and years, and then we find ourselves being copied, everywhere. And sometimes they're a little bit too unique that they don't, so like maybe occasionally a couple of people like them, but they're really widely ignored. It's very
Mm,
hard to tell because
yeah.
it's experimental.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I definitely tell with, my brides and that kind of thing too. Like, take what resonates with you
Mm,
and leave behind what doesn't. Like,
yes.
just because something is a trend doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, okay, well, that's like the latest thing and I need to make sure
Mm,
that I have this and that.
mm,
Because, in my opinion, it needs to go a little bit deeper than that. It can't just
absolutely.
be a carbon copy of what's in vogue. It needs to actually feel like you, it needs
It's
to
so
resonate.
boring.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You're right. You're so right. It's boring, but I think trends do really, like you said, influence us in certain ways
Mm,
too, and they definitely influence our clients. And so
mm.
I'm curious, like, do you have any predictions in terms of what's going to be trending and what's kind of coming up for the upcoming seasons with weddings? We've just obviously wrapped up the summer season here in Australia. So
So we're working on the collection that will release in a few months' time.
yeah.
And so for us, it's bridal minis are still so strong. And we've dabbled in minis, and there's a few coming into our new collection. They're all actually bridal mini separates, which is
Ooh.
really, really fun. So what I think is the most fun about the bridal separates being a mini as well is that they're pieces that you can work, say the ginger topper I was talking about, that you can style with, be it in like ethereal tulle skirt or like a fitted crepe skirt, and that is like an incredibly sophisticated ceremony look.
Mm-hmm.
And then you swap it out for like a Mikado bubble mini skirt, and suddenly like let the dancing and party begin. So I think for us, we're looking, I mean, separates have been on trend for a long time now, but I think combining the separate trend with the minis, and suddenly our brides have a whole heap of choice as well, and combining second looks quite simply.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And just kind of, I guess, one of the trends or maybe movements, I suppose, is really around sustainability. And
Yes.
this is something that I'm really, really passionate about in my line of work, obviously working with nature and, taking care of it. It makes a lot of sense. But one thing that I have noticed a lot about your brand is your commitment to sustainability as well. And I don't want to call it a trend because I do hope it's something that stays, but I have definitely noticed a wave of, potential clients or brides or whoever coming through and saying like, I want to be mindful about my wastage and the things, that my event, like the impact that it's actually having. Can you maybe talk me through a little bit about your commitment to sustainability and what, you're doing from like a design, production side of things to like honor that commitment?
Absolutely. It is so important. And I think that I feel like there was a pressure to be completely sustainable at the start or not at all.
Yeah.
And I think now that we're understanding that we all need to make effort, big efforts, small efforts, to all do our bit, it is just so incredibly important. So for us, we have a few things that are really important to us. There's really small things like, we'll actually add up to something bigger. So like our hand beaded embellishments, they're done by one. And when we receive those embellishments that we then sew into our dresses, they came in a plastic covering. And it doesn't seem like much, but that adds up, and that goes into landfill. And so something like just I think when I talk about these tiny little choices, something that we chose to do is we spoke to our partner and said, can we just get them in a Ziploc bag?
Yeah.
Because then we reuse Ziploc bags, and that Ziploc bag stays with the dress throughout the entire production process and then goes to the next dress. So it's something like sometimes it is just the simplest little switch that is really easy to do, through to something much bigger for us, which was in 2019, I started a second company called Silk and Stitch.
Oh,
So
amazing.
it's such a passion of mine. So Silk and Stitch basically is a dead stock fabric company that takes designer fabrics and offcuts and resells them back into the fashion and retail industries.
Oh, incredible.
So it is amazing. It is such a passion project. The price of the fabrics is like far less than what we would have say paid for those fabrics, but it's kind of not the point. The point is that the fabrics keep moving. They have a new life. They are not either sitting on shelves or in landfill or in previous, it's kind of very looked down upon now, but brands would just burn excess stock. So, which is horrific environmentally. So all of our scraps, they either get sold off to Silk and Stitch, or we package them up, and there's the company called Upcycle, who then you pay them a small amount to recycle your fabrics into, I think they make like ottomans and kind of like packing for inside of cushions. So it is just so important. And then we can now say and feel so proud that not one bit of fabric goes into landfill for us. It's not, our scraps don't make it into landfill anymore. We used to have this huge skip that sat in the middle of our studio. And every so often it filled up and we emptied it. And every time it just felt, it's like throwing rubbish out the window. Like it just feels like you could do better.
Yeah.
And so we're so excited now that we have an actual process, to move these scraps on.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you're so right. Like I'm a relatively new business and that kind of thing. And it's always been at the forefront of my mind that, I want to make good choices right from the beginning.
Mhm.
And, I think you make a really interesting point that it's like, what can you actually control? And then it's even just like asking the question, like maybe you can't control what a supplier is giving you, but you can ask them.
Yeah.
And there's no harm in asking, right? So, and that's obviously had a big impact in terms of like just literally just those plastic pockets that you were talking about,
Yeah.
totally eliminating them.
It's
And
just simple. It's just a simple
yeah,
change.
yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. I love that so much. And I definitely think like, our audience are going to love hearing that as well, because, I think a big part of why they kind of resonate with this podcast is the fact that, we are thinking about sustainability and we are bringing it to the conversation. And I
Mhm.
love that, that's something that you're really passionate about as well. And the fact that you've even gone and had a whole other business, is just incredible.
Yeah, and I think we can all just make these tiny changes. I don't think anyone, has to really get a huge amount out of their comfort zone to make a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. I think you're so right. Um, and so I want to change gears a little bit just because I really liked what you were talking about earlier around like connecting with the bride. And so can you maybe talk us through, I think bridal, floral design, anything in this kind of realm offers a lot of opportunity for personalization,
Mm.
customization. And so, when you talk about connecting with the bride, how do you kind of work with brides to incorporate their personalities, incorporate their preferences into the designs of their gowns for their big day?
So we totally are inspired by our bride and made for our bride.
Yeah.
It's actually, we've got 5 company pillars, and the first company pillar is our bride is number one, and it's something that we constantly look to when making all manner of decisions about how it will affect her. So essentially, I design a collection with my team every year. We bring out a gorgeous collection that is very well thought out,
Yeah.
but it's still just a starting point.
Yeah.
So we have a bride. She comes into our, well, sometimes overseas to see one of our stockists or within Australia, but I'll talk about it when she comes into our Hawthorn store.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, please.
yeah, so she comes into our store and she's greeted by one of our incredible stylists, or occasionally myself, and
Mm,
we will walk her through the collections. The most important thing that we need to communicate to her is that these are all handmade for her. Unless she's on a very, very tight schedule, she
yeah.
can grab a dress and go. But generally, everything is custom made.
Yeah.
So, what that offers is the ability for her to use the collection just as a starting point. And
Mm,
she might try, and we have worked so hard on these collections. So, there is a good chance that she will try on a gown and it will be what she's always dreamed of. It'll be perfect.
yeah.
And then good to go. We order it for her, we tailor it to her size. It's
There you go.
easy. But a lot of the time, she will be so in love with our brand aesthetic and our values and the way that we produce our dresses, and really feel that she's aligning with us. But maybe the neckline on that dress didn't suit her as much as the neckline on the other dress, but she really liked the fabric.
Yeah.
And the train was different, or she's dreamt of this sleeve that she can't find. And so it's about having brides who really align with us and
Mm,
then starting a custom process with them, which
yeah.
is so much fun. It's really inspiring. It's a challenge. It
Yeah.
gets us out of our comfort zone, but it is definitely the most creative thing we do. And it also inspires new collections so much as well.
Yeah.
That feedback. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very curious, like when you say you use it as a starting point, like are you then asking them like, is it based on like inspiration boards or like just what they've always thought of their dress would look like? Or, how does that personalization kind
Yeah.
of manifest, I suppose?
Yeah. Look, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Occasionally, a bride will come in with images or a mood board.
Yeah.
Most often, by the time they start trying, they change their mind a little bit.
Yeah.
The way it generally starts is it just has to be open communication, and the bride feeling that she is in a very safe, trusting place with us and that she can speak her mind. I
Mm.
find that sometimes I have to make people tell me the truth.
I,
Sometimes
I
the
get
stylist,
exactly what you mean. Yeah.
I do get more truth than I do, and I say the worst thing you can do is not tell me what bits you
Yeah.
love and what you don't like, because I can't help.
Yeah.
So I really kind of get stuck into the bride and say, tell me what you love, what feels good. Great, the bust line feels amazing. And then once we can talk about, okay, the skirt doesn't feel as good. Why? And
Yeah.
then once I can understand that, maybe they envision themselves in a fitted skirt, and then now they've got them on, it's not for them. And so I can start playing with silhouette and showing them options that
Yeah.
have a fuller skirt or a split or a longer train. And then I can grab a dress that I'll say, I don't think you're going to love the fit at all, but let's try it on because I think this fabric could be incredible on you. And then we can start building this idea. And then
Yeah.
we have hangers of fabric and we can drape more, we can drape sleeves. It kind of does grow from there, but very organically with the bride. And it's a
Yeah.
creative process that we're on together.
Yeah. No, I love that. And honestly, it just sounds like fun. Like,
It
it
is.
just sounds
Oh,
like
it
fun.
is.
I want to go in and
Absolutely.
try on some dresses and be like, yes, I love this bit, but not that bit. And this works, but maybe not that. And, again, as a designer, like, I think you're so right. Like, we often look at things like your inspo pics or just chatting with our brides or
Mm,
whatever it may be. And you like look at, say, like a photo and it's like, okay, well, what within that photo is it that
mm,
you love? Because, like, I
yeah,
could be looking at it and being like, oh, it's in your example, like the train. And they're like, no, it's
mm,
the sleeves. I love the sleeves. So it's like that inquiry, I think, that
mm.
whole process of like getting to like, why is it that you love it? Rather than just being like, okay, that's the look. Let's go and
Yes,
create that because that's not it.
yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
And so, beyond kind of the dress itself, what other things should a potential bride, I guess, expect when having the experience with your team? Like, we kind of talked about the
Mm.
customization and that side of things, but you know, I'm certain that it's well and truly beyond just the dress itself. So, can you maybe share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we are quite unique in that we not only will create your gown by hand, we will also fit it to her by hand.
Mm,
So, and I think this is something to really understand about the process of what every boutique or designer will or won't offer and what
yeah.
you want as a bride. So,
Mm,
so some stores will sell other designers' dresses, and then they might offer a tailoring service. Some designers sell their own dresses but don't offer customizations or a tailoring service. So you really got to understand what it is that you want and what level of personality and customization do you want to kind of infuse into your gown.
yeah.
And so for us, we need the bride to feel incredibly safe and trusting, but we need her to feel like she's on cloud nine and that the whole experience has been so beautiful and luxurious and
Yeah.
that she has been heard the whole time is really
Mm,
important to us. And that her family members are also part of the journey and the excitement and they've also been heard.
yeah.
So for us, it's about finding her the gown in a really soft approach.
Yeah.
We have an hour and a half for our first appointments, which is quite rare because
Yeah.
we want to have time to not only get close to what she wants and really be able to speak to her about what does your partner think and what is the feel and get a read on her as a person. What do you love to wear when you go out? Do
Mm,
you want a show-stopping piece or are you something that wants something more classic?
yeah.
I think just really finding out about her venue, what the weather might be, all of these kind of things. What surface is she going to walk on?
Yeah.
Because if a bride is walking on like a concrete path,
Yeah.
whereas walking through sand or through a bush area, it's a completely different approach that we need to take.
Yeah.
And so, really, really understanding her. And then within that first hour and a half, some brides are ready to say yes within the hour and a half. Other
Yeah.
brides, we get to a point where we have a really strong vision for
Mm,
them. We have a few key gowns selected, and then we love to take a breather, and then they come back with a fresh set of eyes, and then we
yeah.
help them make that decision in that second appointment. And
Yeah.
then once we cut and make that dress for them,
Yeah.
we then see them in our Brunswick studio for up to kind of generally 3 to 4 fittings, depending on the gown, to
Mhm.
tailor the gown perfectly to her silhouette.
Perfect. And it's so interesting because, like I haven't been through this experience of, buying a wedding dress or anything like that. And so even just you talking about the different level of services, like
Mm,
I would just anticipate that, you can walk into any bridal store and it would just be like, yep, cool, I can just get whatever I want and it will just be perfect. Like, but you're so right, even just like the level of service that you can expect
mhm.
and the customization that you can expect and all of that is, yeah, really something to think about in terms of
Yeah,
like, what do you want as a bride?
absolutely. And every bride has a different vision on what she might
Yeah.
like and a different budget that,
Yeah.
helps with that vision as well. We feel very strongly that the bridal experience should be second to none. There's only so many times in your life, and generally it's just this one occasion, that
Mm,
you will have the opportunity to have appointment only service, a
yeah.
custom made piece tailored for you that is so thought out and so beautifully made. We really want our brides to experience that.
Yeah. And, you're so right because, I often think about that when I'm working with brides too. Like, we won't get this opportunity again, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a one and done situation for
Mm-hmm.
the most part. At least we hope that's the case. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's like we really want to spend the time and go deep rather than just making it a surface level, chuck on a dress and off you go. Because I
Absolutely.
think we can recognize that all like the day itself is an accumulation of so many decisions and your love story and the people in your life coming together for this
Mm-hmm.
one moment. And so like that honor, I suppose, is like not lost on us that we get to be part of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I do want to talk a little bit about florals because obviously
Mm-hmm.
I'm a floral designer. So, it makes some sense that we do talk about that. And so I'm really, really curious because obviously with a bridal gown, I imagine as a designer, you're not just thinking about the gown itself. I'm sure you're thinking about like what kind of setting is this going to be, and like you said, like what kind of walkway are they going to be on. And so I'm
Absolutely.
sure you've probably thought a little bit about flowers as well, and probably in particular bridal bouquets. And so, in your opinion and what you've kind of been dreaming up, how do you envision a bridal bouquet kind of matching in with one of your designs or in your collections?
It's so interesting, and it really it really comes down to, again, like helping the bride, find the most amazing dress and customize it for her. It's just the same.
Yeah.
It's about understanding her vision,
Mm,
her what she loves, what she resonates with, and then making it apply to the type of dress she's chosen
yeah.
and the venue that she's at. And so I love your flowers, by the way. I think they're just
Thank you.
exceptionally beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And I think that, like, we often talk about flowers because we'll ask the bride what she's envisioned. And
Mm,
it's also, sometimes we have a bride who thought she wanted, say, a lot of detail and lace, and then she finds herself falling in love with a much more simplistic piece. Maybe it's just a complete silk satin piece.
mm,
And so we can talk to her about how she can style that piece
yeah.
with, maybe the flowers then take on less of a fun, natural, pastel-y kind of vibe. And maybe they do become more like ivory only.
Yeah.
And you kind of elevate her look to be more of the classic look she might have envisaged.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the other way. Maybe she's finding herself in a lace dress that she loves, but maybe it feels more than she had imagined. And
Mm,
then we can introduce kind of playful florals that are like that soft neutral tones and really textural that kind of brings it back to her environment and something that she
mm.
really feels good about and that she absolutely adores.
Yeah, no. And like, honestly, one of my favorite questions when I'm talking to brides is like, what's your dress like? Because it is such an integral part of the overall look and the
Mm-hmm.
feeling I think that the
Mm-hmm.
bride is trying to get at. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for example, I recently had a bride who was like, I was envisioning something just like a satin, quite simple kind of dress, but then I landed on like this really lacy piece, and now I'm just kind of like confused and blah blah blah. But I'm like, it's all good. Like, what is the feeling that we want to
Mm-hmm.
invoke? How do you want to feel? Do you want the flowers to be a statement? Do you not? Like, there's a whole conversation we can have around that.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, at the end of the day, I think it's about getting to a point where the bride really resonates with what, you're putting together for them. And
Absolutely.
in particular, those two elements, right? The dress and the bridal bouquet, they are like tied together for a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the day. And so I think it's really important that, brides are kind of thinking about that more broadly as well when they are trying on things
Absolutely.
like their dress.
Absolutely. And I think that finding a florist like yourself, that we just have that overarching kind of duty of care, that we actually genuinely do care and we want to ask. I
Mm,
think that if you walk into a florist and they're not offering or asking you questions about, exactly like you said, what evokes an sense of excitement from you, what do you like, and then looking at the swatches of the dress
yeah.
and pairing it back, I think finds a florist that you adore and is invested and excited about your wedding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I don't know if you've had too much experience with flowers. I am assuming that you have, given that your next collection is going to be blue. But is there any kind of flowers, I guess, that you do think pair especially well, or like certain styles? Like, do you see, your gowns with more like neutrals, or, big fluffy flowers? Or is there anything in particular that kind of like you're drawn to?
I think definitely neutrals.
Yeah.
I adore like dusty pinks and
Yeah.
soft peaches,
Yeah.
as well as like the classic ivory kind of tones. I think it's when we do style flowers for a shoot, we get
Mm,
maybe one or two bouquets. We have to make them work with the whole collection, so we're probably more on the side of caution
yeah.
in a way than what we like. When I got married, I had two different bouquets.
I love that. That's the kind of energy that I'm here for, Like, give me a million different bouquets.
I mean, I had a few dresses, and I had a first look, and it was actually one of the reasons that we had two bouquets is because my first look was January the 2nd, so it's very very hot,
Yeah.
and we had a first look at, I think it was like 1 p.m. that
Yeah.
we shot, and so it just started with my florist saying, "You're going to need a second one. Like, I don't know that these flowers are going to live to the 4 o'clock
Yeah.
ceremony." And so, but that was fun because I was able to have two different flowers. And then for my second look, I had this very, very heavily beaded dress in like a barn. So it was like a darker environment.
Yeah.
And so the dress just absolutely like sparkled with these kind of gold hues. And then I had these gorgeous flowers with really deep tones of like
Ooh,
magenta and
oh,
plum.
yeah.
And it was just amazing, amazing. And so the flowers absolutely complemented that mood.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And so I guess like when you're thinking about creating cohesion like that, do you have any tips for brides in terms of how they should kind of be thinking about that, just from your perspective?
I think definitely work with the experts. I think that, yeah, just going back to being with people who are invested and who you trust,
Mm,
and
yeah.
asking them to help you pair it through. I mean, we're designers, so we kind of assume that everybody loves putting things together, but it's not always the case. Sometimes these things can feel really scary and daunting for a bride, and so it is up to us to absolutely bring out her natural taste and help her make it all work.
Yeah. No, I love that. That is like the cherry on top, honestly. I think you've nailed it. Absolutely. And so I guess just before we kind of wrap up, do you have any like final kind of words of wisdom from your experience, or encouragement for brides, or anybody who's kind of looking to really make their big day unforgettable? Because that's what we're kind of all about, right? Like we want this day to be the perfect day for them. And so
Mm.
what have you kind of learnt along the way that you would love to share with brides, on how to make that a reality?
I think, again, it goes back to choosing people that truly are invested in you,
Yeah.
and then not worrying about trend too much.
Yeah.
Because whether you like it or not, if you've been on social media or Pinterest, trend is already in the back of your head because
Yeah.
it's being force fed to us constantly.
Of
So
course.
everybody has an understanding of it, whether they think they do or they don't. So
Mm.
don't worry about what your friend wore or what your friend did or what the social media influencers are doing, because it is only relevant to a certain degree. It is you who wants to share this feeling and this emotion and have a wedding and a dress and flowers and makeup and everything that truly connect to you and
Mm.
make you feel absolutely incredible. And so
Oh,
I think going with what you love, and if you want to make a statement, make a statement
yeah.
and tell that to your florist, tell it to your bridal designer.
Yeah.
We love it when brides come in and they say, "I want people to be talking about my dress." Is that right?
Right. Say less. Like, let me go and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you are in the opposite, if you say, "Look, I'm pretty shy and I just want something really simple and classic that I can just be really comfortable in and
Yeah.
feel like myself in," then that's amazing too. We just need to communicate that.
Yeah.
And then I will kind of step back with all like the sparkling backless numbers and say, "Okay,
Mm.
well, let me move over here. I'll redirect."
Yeah. Let's move over to that, right? That makes sense.
Absolutely. I just think that brides being themselves and having a wedding that just doesn't feel cookie cutter and it
Yeah.
feels truly authentic to them,
Mm.
and having those little touches throughout the wedding that feel authentic to them.
Yeah.
whether it be, part of the speeches or the photos or something, a special piece of jewelry that they wore or whatever it might be. The day is about them. I feel like it's so much, sometimes I feel like you go to a wedding and you could have just inserted a second bride and groom and it would have, or bride and bride or groom and groom, and it would have been the same wedding. And then you go to a wedding and you just feel like your heart is so full of that couple, and you just know that it was such a personalized wedding and it felt so authentically them.
You couldn't be more wrong. And I think that that's probably where our businesses align so well, right? Because I think we both have that kind of awareness as well. Like, I know with my brides, like, I don't want them to walk in and just be like, yeah, I just want like a white bouquet and blah, 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 like all good. I'm like, okay, like, why do you want the bouquet? Like, what's happening here? So it's like going that layer deeper. I think it just is always going to give you something that truly resonates rather than it just, like you said, being a cookie cutter situation. And that's not fun for anyone. Even if you don't want to be like the center of attention or anything like that, you still want the day to feel like you.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I can't agree with you anymore, honestly, even if I tried. So.
And if you think about trend, if I felt like, like at the moment, like the trend for hair and the trend for makeup, like, are we going to love it forever? So if the trend is aligning with what you love, go for it. But if it's not, be authentic.
Yeah. Oh, write it on a t-shirt, write it in the sky. Honestly, that's the perfect way to end this podcast. Anna, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me. I have honestly loved this conversation. I've loved getting into the inner workings of your brain and your business and your designs. And I think any bride would be so lucky to, wear one of your gowns and be part of that experience in your beautiful boutique. So we'll leave it here for today, but I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
A huge thank you to Anna again for coming on the podcast. If you would like to learn more about Anna Campbell Bridal, her gowns, and more, you can visit her website over at annacampbell.com.au. I would highly recommend having a look at the website just to have a look at her designs and get inspired by her work. They are absolutely stunning, and you can really kind of see the influences that she kind of talked about when it comes to what she gets inspired by and what she loves and what she's drawn to. So I'll leave a link in the show notes for you. But again, thank you so much for joining me for this episode, and be sure to subscribe or follow along to receive next week's. And I will see you then.